You are listening to the 4-Phase Cycle Podcast with your hosts, Megan and Alex of Zesty Ginger. If you're looking to naturally balance hormones and learn how to work with your body instead of against it, you have come to the right place. As a duo of an integrative MD and a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, we use the 4 phases of the feminine cycle in combination with functional lab work to transform the lives of the women we work with. Just a quick reminder though, this information is not intended to diagnose, manage, or treat disease. Always consult with your own doctor before making changes. Ready to take control of your health? Let's get started.
Hello there, this is Alex. Thanks again for joining me. We are on Podclass lesson 15. We are going to talk all about detox tools. And this one I had to kind of hold back on because I have so many good favorite detox tools, and Megan has introduced me to so much, and we've kind of swapped back and forth the stories and successes and everything, and between the two of us we just have a ginormous list, which obviously we put into our 4-phase cycle detox, but we always love talking about this more. So this is my nerdy little gift to you guys, because a lot of these are actually really fun to do and feel good in your body. And so we'll talk about detox tools. So if you've been following along, my hope is that you're starting this podcast from the beginning. You're doing just one, starting on it, because they really build from onto each other. And then this detox subject all goes within the second half of the cycle. So it's phases 3 and 4, which are plateau and pause. And so because we sync with our cycle so much, we want to be doing the things at the time of the cycle that is setting you up for success in the next part of the cycle. So you're always setting yourself up for success for the next phase that follows, and the next phase that follows, and the next phase that follows, because what we want you to be doing is following along this journey that you experience better and better and better and better cycles as you go. And so you are really building on each other. And this detox discussion is really helpful because we are exposed to so many hormone mimicking substances in our environments that we really have to help our liver, our kidney, our colon, our lymphatics, and our skin, which are our detox organs, to help do all of this work. And then as anyone with any hormone problems, any infertility, any hormonal acne, headaches, weight loss resistance, rashes, rosacea, you name it, all of us that fall into this category, me included, all need to do the work of focusing on alternating inflammation support and detox support. And so today I'm going to talk about detox support because many of us have learned about inflammation long before we even talked about functional medicine, just because inflammation has been known for a little bit longer. The power of detoxification and the role of detoxification in women's health is only now really being appreciated. And so it's really helpful to begin to explore this. So today, for this podcast, I wanted to talk about support tools that you may not have known. And this is only going to be the tip of the iceberg, because we have a whole guide in our 4-phase cycle detox that we give our ladies that is just a whole bunch of stuff that you can do, and it's actually pretty fun to every cycle or every phase that you're doing detoxing stuff, just kind of open it up and pick the ones that you like the best, that make you feel good, the ones that you enjoy adding into your life. And so these are my favorites. Hopefully you enjoy them. Then in the next podcast, we're gonna talk about how you know if you're detoxing too fast and what to do about that. And then in the next one, we're going to talk about inflammatory support. And that one, like I said, people are a little more familiar with that, so I don't feel like I want to go into it in as much detail, but there are a lot of really, really great resources out there that I would like you to be aware of. All right, so let's do detox support tools for now. So there's going to be a whole bunch. And one of the areas that I like doing detox support and using as an external, or it's my guide, but it's basically the mouth. You can learn a whole lot of stuff about what is going on with detoxification by looking at your mouth. And the first two interventions that the detox support tools that I'm going to talk about are actually automatically kind of linking to that. And so you're going to learn what it means, and then you're going to be able to do something about it, which is Megan and I's favorite way to do things. So when you look at your mouth, you can pick up a lot of things because the mouth is just an extension of the GI tract, right? So the things that are happening in your mouth are also likely happening all along the tract. So when you see inflammation there, your gut is almost inevitably inflamed all the way across. Maybe, the different parts of the gut have different jobs, so that inflammation can present in different ways depending on whether you're looking at the stomach or you're looking at your colon. But the ideas are still relatively the same. So if you wake up or during the day, you look at your tongue and there's a coating, whether that's white, yellow, or gray, for the most part, that means that your body is trying to pump out excess toxins, compounds, hormone mimicking substances. All of those, especially while you sleep, your liver is processing those. The lymphatics are bringing all of that essentially trash, which is the byproducts of all the cells. They do their jobs and then they dump everything that they don't need into the lymphatics, and then the lymphatics bring everything from the outside, our fingers and toes and out here, into the bloodstream, and then from the bloodstream, the liver, the kidneys, and eventually the colon all work on them and excrete them. To a certain extent, our lungs do that too, but not quite as much. And so when you wake up, especially, you are likely to see a coating unless you've been working on your detoxification, or you happen to just be very, very lucky and you are good at doing this kind of biochemical reaction. But more than likely, you can wake up with a coating on your tongue, and that coating, the presence or absence or severity of that coating will tell you a lot about how overloaded your liver is. So a lot of times people will have a coating, they'll see it, then they'll start doing detox stuff intending to help that, and then it actually gets worse. And that is a sign that you had the correct quote unquote diagnosis before, that you really were overloaded, and now that you're helping your body process, it's kind of doing a better job on it and it's getting rid of more stuff, then that coating will actually get worse before it goes better, and eventually it will go away as you balance out. And so for that reason, I like doing two things in the morning. I like doing oil pulling, which is when you take a spoonful of coconut oil or sesame oil. Sesame oil is the traditional one. A lot of people like coconut oil because of its kind of antiviral, antibacterial properties. And everyone loves coconut oil in the health world. And you basically swish it around in your mouth, pressing it between your teeth, rolling it around, getting it all up in your cheeks, all over your tongue. You just swish, swish, swish for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then you spit it out in the trash. Don't put it in the sink, because then you're going to clog up your sink, especially if you use the coconut oil. But you just spit it out in the trash, and then also don't swallow it, because it's basically just picking up all the debris and bacteria and byproducts and everything your body excreted into your tongue. You're going to reabsorb it, so spit it out into the trash. So oil pulling is one, and then I always follow it up with tongue scraping. So even if I can't see a coating, I will always make sure to go back with the tongue scraper. Mine's metal, but the ones I like the best are copper, but I had already had one, so I didn't want to spend the money and the resources to get a different one when mine worked just as well. But if I had to start from scratch, I would have gotten the copper one off Amazon, because it's a little more naturally antibacterial. And I do the tongue scraping after I spit out the coconut oil. Right, so that all is things that are easy to implement. And I don't know about you, but my time in the morning is usually there's not a lot of people talking to me. I know this is not fair if you have little kids and you're like, I'd kill for some time to have no one talk to me. But it's just when I get ready, I'm in the shower, I'm packing my lunch, I'm making my breakfast, whatever it is, I'm just doing my oil pulling. Don't feel like if you're not doing the 15 minutes, that it's not helping. So if the only thing you have time for is 5 minutes, do the 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be a big deal. We're not sticklers for perfection here. We're just trying to help our body the best way we can. And that oil pulling, tongue scraping combo is a really powerful thing. You can also, while you're looking at your tongue in the mirror, you can also flip your tongue over and look at the underside of it. There's 2 veins that run around the down on either side of the middle of your tongue, and you will have to learn this for yourself, but you will learn what it looks like when you're normal and feeling good, and what those veins look like after, for example, a night you went out to a wedding and you had a couple of drinks. Those veins, when there's essentially slower, more congested flow through the liver, sometimes those veins can get beefy and swollen. And so you can see that's one of the ways that for myself, when I look at foods that I may be reacting to, I will see what they do to the coating on my tongue, and I will see what they do to the veins underneath my tongue, on the underside of my tongue, because it basically tells me, level of inflammation, venous congestion, all of those things that will give me feedback on how my body is processing that food. And so that can be really helpful. Otherwise, a swollen tongue and cracks at the corner of the mouth and cracks down the middle of the tongue a lot of times have to do with inflammation and nutrient deficiency. So that combo of not only eating foods that inflame you, but that are very nutrient poor, such as, anything that comes in, like doesn't have to be refrigerated, like Cheese Whiz or whatever, would be an example, or chips or whatever, then a lot of times you can get those symptoms as well. And so your tongue can tell you and your mouth can tell you a lot about that. For me personally, I've learned that when I get cracks on the corner of my mouth, that usually has to do with inflammation in my gut from my Crohn's. Probably means I had some sort of exposure that I didn't really know about, and then that causes a B vitamin deficiency in me, and that's when I supplement with B vitamins. I'm only telling you this to give an example, because you may be very, very different, but the only reason I know that, logic, and I'm able to tell you that, is because I've actually looked at my mouth and correlated things together. So lots of helpful tools there. All right, so let's talk about venous congestion. Since we talked about, blood backing up in the liver, we talked about the liver not working really well. Let us do something that actually helps the liver. So there are 2 things that we can do as a pack. So a castor oil pack, which you may have heard of, or a cilantro liver compress, which my guess is that you haven't heard of this before. So both of them are a way to get things that the liver needs close to the skin next to the liver, and that your skin will absorb some of these compounds, that blood flow will end up in the liver, and it's a very gentle way to support the liver without necessarily taking supplements or doing something that causes a huge detox reaction, which in and of itself is stressful for the body. That will be a topic for next class, so we'll come back to that. But in general, you don't want to go from nothing to blasting yourself with detox tools that are really powerful, because you will dump all sorts of blood and stuff in your bloodstream. You won't be able to keep up with it, and you will accrue damage. And so these are great starting out things. So castor oil packs, the way to do these is that your liver is right underneath the bottom part of your rib cage on the right. So kind of right upper belly, low right chest. Yeah, I had to think about that way too hard for a second. And that's where your liver is. It's kind of protected by the rib cage. If it's really inflamed, or if you have fatty liver disease or anything like that, a lot of times it will be swollen and you can feel it sticking out into your abdomen, poking out from under the ribs. That, generally speaking, there is some variation between people, but generally speaking, that should not be happening. And they should be safely tucked away under the rib cage, hanging out next to your stomach. But castor oil, so that's where you're going to put everything. So for a castor oil pack, what you're going to do is you're going to take a washcloth, or I like using something like cotton. I just have or cheesecloths. I cut either a cotton cloth or a cheesecloth into strips, and then you saturate them in castor oil. You just take one, and then you put that over that spot that we just talked about. Put a towel over that, and then you want to put a heat pack or like a warm water bottle or something over that area to help the skin pick up the nutrients that the castor oil is delivering. And so it's like a local supplement, if you can think of it that way. And then you just hang out there for about 10 to 15 minutes. You want to check, because you want to look for irritation at the skin. Sometimes people will react to castor oil or some things, so just be careful when you're first starting out until you realize how you react to this kind of stuff, in which case you can go up as long as 30 minutes. You just hang out, do a meditation, read, watch TV, whatever it is you do. You just hang out with the castor oil working over your liver. The other thing that we're going to do is the exact same spot, but it's a cilantro liver compress. So you either take a tablespoon of fresh cilantro or 2 tablespoons of dried cilantro, and you're going to brew a strong tea out of it. So about 6 to 8 ounces of water. And so let that steep, make sure it's nice and concentrated, and then let it cool. And then after it's cool, it should be warm but not hot. It should be comfortable to the touch. You're going to dip a washcloth in the tea. You're going to kind of gently squeeze it out, and then you're going to put it over your liver. That cilantro is also going to be absorbed and go to the liver and work its magic there. And then put a towel over it just so it doesn't drip all over the place, and hang out there for about 15 minutes. Make sure you check underneath as well. For this one, you can actually change the concentration of the tea. So if you find that your skin is irritated from the cilantro, you can either have the amount of cilantro that you used, or you can add more water to basically make it more dilute, or you can leave it on for shorter periods of time. That's a really great way. It's very gentle. Cilantro is a very effective detox tool, but it's not something that we necessarily need to get in a supplement form. This is a very great way to support your liver with that. So those are liver things. Let's talk about lymphatics, because those are going to be important. So your liver is obviously in charge of doing the bulk of the detoxification and the processing, but it can't do that if the toxins never get there, right? And it's the job of the lymphatics to take all of the stuff that our cells all over our body throw away. They're basically like, once they're done with their job, some things get scooted out, and then the lymphatics pick it up to get it out of the body. The thing with lymphatic vessels is that, unlike blood vessels that have little muscles around them that help squeeze blood forward, the lymphatics are really thin-walled and they don't have any muscle. And that means the lymphatic system depends on the movement of the skin, all of the kind of like hair, sweat follicles in the skin, the muscles underneath the skin, to move that around. That's why movement is so important to good health, and especially hormonal health, because there are so many systems that depend on the movement of your body to function the way that they should. So while that's all well and good, sometimes we need a little bit of help. So the next 2 things I'm going to recommend are actually for the lymphatics. So one is dry skin brushing, which you may have heard of, and then contrast showers, which if you've been following Megan and I for a while, you've heard us talking about it because we're obsessed. But if you haven't, you're going to love it. Dry skin brushing, for the most part, it's best to get a separate dry skin brush. You can use like a washcloth or something else to do the job of it. You're basically applying light pressure to your skin from the extremities, so starting at your hands and feet and moving up towards the heart. So you're going to brush the skin up like a little massage, and you don't have to press very hard at all. People are like, oh, it hurts me. You don't. If it hurts you, you're probably pressing too hard. Okay, so nice and light, and just start from your hands and feet and work your way up towards the heart, which is, like I said, how the lymphatics move. The lymphatics all kind of come together in the left side of the chest and dump into the heart, and from there the heart will pump it all around to the kidneys, the liver, the gut, and it will process and remove those toxins. But like I said, it has to get there first, and so dry skin brushing is super, super great. If you go on our blog, it's zestyginger.com/blog, we actually have a like a blog post about a video where we're showing you how to do it. So if you have any questions at all, just go on there. And also YouTube it. There's lots of demonstrations, or go Google it. Lots of stuff out there. I'm not going to worry too much about explaining it more than that, just because there's so much already out there. The other thing that's super great for lymphatics, and you're going to love this if you haven't done it, is contrast showers. Contrast showers are when you blast the hot water. When you're finishing your shower, you blast alternating hot and cold water. And it is a really great way you're going to work out. It's like a little workout for the blood vessels and the lymphatics at the very surface level of your body. So not like the big honking vessels that take blood to organs like the liver or the kidneys or whatever. It's those little vessels all around the lymphatics that help move everything along. And so everything is going to kind of squeeze and let go as you alternate hot and cold water. And when you do that, when you step out, you will feel this huge flush, and it feels really, really good. Like usually I even start to get a little bit sweaty and kind of get flushed, like my face will get a little pink, because you're actually just opening up those blood vessels, getting the blood flowing, getting the lymphatics moving, and everything is being mobilized so that it can be processed. All right, so that's a really great way to do it as well. All right, I could go on and on and on about this, but I think that's enough for now. What I want you to do this week for your homework for Podclass is pick one. If there's one that you haven't heard of, try it. If it works for you. If you haven't tried any of them, pick one and just give it a shot. You don't have to buy anything new for this. Everyone has a washcloth or some kind of towel. Everyone can, that you have cooking oils that you cook with. Try something and see how it goes for you, and you can kind of reaffirm for yourself about the difference that you see when you look at your mouth. And your mouth will be a little bit of your guide, and it'll be your evidence to say, all right, I know that this is doing stuff and that this is something that I really need to work on. And then once inflammation support comes around, you're going to take a little break from all the detoxing stuff, which is kind of nice because then you get reinterested in something else, and then detoxing will come around before you know it again. So, all right, next up, we're going to talk about how you know if you're detoxing too fast and why that is bad. So make sure you follow up on that podcast so that you make sure that you're being nice and safe about all of these detox tools. All right, ladies, it was so much fun hanging out with you. I'll talk to you soon.
Hey, thanks for stopping by this Podclass. If you are ready to dig deeper into your health, really understand your cycle, stop guessing with random supplements, and start testing, our Healthy Hormones group starts September 27th. You can find more details at zestyginger.com/healthy hormones and find out if this is the place for you. And as always, we offer free 20-minute consultations, so jump on the phone with us and we'll help you decide if it's a good fit.